Louis Pasteur was born on December 27, 1822, in the town of Dole, France. Several years later, Louis's family moved to a nearby town known as Arbois. Louis attended school here, but he obtained poor results except in art. Most of his teachers thought he would just leave school and work in his father's tannery. However, Louis had a great desire to increase his knowledge. At the age of 15, he went on to school and completed a bachelor's degree in science in 1842. In 1845, Louis studied chemistry and received a Master's of Science degree. Pasteur then focused his research on the process of fermentation, the process which is used to produce alcohol from sugar, but which also causes milk to go sour. Pasteur proved that fermentation took place only when small living things called microbes were present. If the right microbe was present, the desired result was obtained. If the wrong microbe was present, the wrong substance was produced, such as sour milk or bitter wine. Pasteur's findings helped establish a new branch of science known as microbiology. The belief that living matter arose from non-living matter is called spontaneous generation. To disprove this idea, Pasteur boiled some broth to kill any microbes present. With special glassware, he allowed air to circulate over the broth but prevented microbes in the air from reaching the broth. As Pasteur expected, no microbes appeared in the broth. Pasteur's findings showed that microbes were not spontaneously generated from the broth itself. Microbes would only appear in the broth if they were allowed in the air. He clearly showed that even for microbes, life came only from other life. Pasteur now had a good theoretical understanding of microbes. He sought to apply his findings to the practical problem of stopping wine from spoiling. As many families depended on the wine industry for their livelihoods, and the French economy was heavily dependent on wine exports, this was a major problem. Pasteur achieved success by slightly modifying the process used with the broth. Boiling the wine would alter its flavor. Therefore, Pasteur heated the wine enough to kill most of the microbes present without altering the flavor. He then chilled the wine to prevent any microbes left from multiplying. To his delight, Pasteur found that this process could also prevent milks from turning sour and preserve many other foods as well. His only reward was fame and recognition. This process became known as pasteurization. In 1885, a small boy who had been bitten by a rabid dog was brought to Pasteur. Although he was not sure whether the treatment would work on humans, Pasteur knew the boy would die without the vaccine. After several tense weeks of treatment on the boy, it was clear that the rabies vaccine was a success. In 1888, the Pasteur Institute was established in Paris to continue the fight against diseases. Louis Pasteur's personal life had been punctuated by sickness and tragedy. 3 of his 5 children died of childhood diseases, and his sister was also left mentally retarded by a child. Rather than let this crush his spirit, these tragedies spurred him on in his efforts to spare others the heartbreak of losing their children to disease. His own life was touched by brain hemorrhages and several strokes which left him partially paralyzed. His condition was often made worse by overworking. Pasteur saw no conflict between science and Christianity. In fact, he believed that science brings men nearer to God. In his work as a scientist, he perceived evidence of wisdom in design, not randomness and chaos. Pasteur stated that, "The more I study nature, the more I stand amazed at the work of the Creator." Pasteur died on September 28, 1895, after a long life. His contributions to science were truly outstanding. His Christian faith sustained him through many trials. He firmly believed in creation and strongly opposed Darwin's theory of evolution because it did not fit well with the scientific evidence.